Hey, thanks again for joining me. This is, I guess, the third time I'm seeing you guys on this channel. I'm hoping that it starts to get easier, to be honest. Like I admitted last time, it's a little hard for me to be in front of a camera, let alone a video camera. But you know what? It is what it is, and we're just going to go with it. Today, I want to talk a little bit more about my story and who I am. I think it's important to know all of that as time goes forward so that down the line when people are seeing these videos, if they want to find out a little bit more about what it's all rooted from and where it started from, they can kind of come back to these first few videos and find out a little bit more about who I am. And especially if somebody wants to work with me, they'll know that I fully understand you. I can probably very much relate to you and what is happening in your life, because I've lived a life. And, some regrets, not definitely, who doesn't have regrets, right? There's going to be regrets there and some really good times to, you don't get to be in your 50s something without all of that, right? So yeah, so I can relate to you, I can understand you, and most importantly, I will never judge you. Um, I'm always gonna I can't judge anybody else. In fact, it's not even our jobs to judge one another. I used to be a fairly judgmental person. I believe in my younger years when I didn't know any better. Basically, what that is though is severe insecurity. The lower your esteem is, the more you're going to judge others, the more you're going to judge them harshly. Because if you just think about that for a minute, if you judge them harshly, it makes you better in your own eyes, right? So sometimes we're just fighting against ourselves when we are actually judging other people, which is why in our relationships we tend to do some of the things that we do. And I go into relationships very deep with people, especially within my book and my program and stuff like that. But human nature has been something that I've always been intrigued by. So that being said, I'm going to go into my story today. Hopefully it's not too long and hopefully it's not too boring, but that's the magic of video. You can skip ahead or skip it all together, but it does have to be shared on here, because if I expect people to open up with me on here, I need to open up myself. So there it is. And I'm always a very authentic person, maybe too authentic to real people. I think I wear my heart on my sleeve quite often. I think some people go, whoa, especially the ones that aren't too apt to share their lives, right? But I mean, I'm in a business where people share their lives with me all the time on a one-on-one basis, sometimes in groups, and sometimes it will be right here on this channel. So if I want that transparency from them, I'm going to have to be transparent myself in my life. So let's try to get through this and keep it as short as possible. So I'll start at the beginning. I was born in Saskatchewan, to a very loving set of parents. My biggest blessing in this life, I will always say, has been the parents and the family that I was born into. So very blessed there. I still have two sisters that are still with me that I cherish. Going back to that time, I'm the oldest of two younger sisters. I guess they would be younger if I'm the oldest. No nerves here. Anyways, yeah. So very loving parents and extended family too. My childhood memories are the most cherished memories that I've got in my life for the most part. Like I go back to that, and it's a happy place for me. It So much joy, cousins around all the time, aunts and uncles, and it was the 60s. Early 70s, yeah, dating myself, whatever it is, what it is. Um, But yeah, the family that I was born into, incredible, so many good times. And then of course, kindergarten came, grade one, and still, I was short, cute, a little bit quirky, funny, well liked, well received, until grade two. Grade two, I had a teacher that was quite not what I was used to. I came from a very loving family, not necessarily coddled, although she did accuse my parents of that. She had a very strict nature to her. It still was, like, I think the early 70s at that point. And back then they taught kids differently. I mean, we had some really good teachers back then, not nearly what it was before that. But this one was a little bit stricter. I don't think she was a happy woman. I can't hold anything against her. You know, it was a turning point in my life, but it actually manifested itself in a negative way for me. And maybe that's just because of the kind of person I am. But she was quite harsh, and I did not learn well under that kind of in that kind of an environment. I had undiagnosed ADHD at that time. It was unheard of. So we learn very differently. We're not dumb, although we got labeled as slow learners back then. Uh, just not catching on. I mean, the thing is when you've got ADHD, I like to call it added details on hyperdrive. I embrace that. I still have it in the adult, and I do embrace it. And they say disorder, but you know what, I get a lot of my creativity from that. But going back to that, I was undiagnosed at the time, and it would have been just called a learning disorder, basically, right? Because kids aren't catching on, they're just not learning properly. So there was that. And then that along with her harshness and trying to force me to learn in a very negative manner, it brought on the onset of Tourette Syndrome, which is another undiagnosed neurosy for back then that we didn't know about. I know what it is now. So that is, and as I talk about it still in my adulthood, I do fight it a bit. So that's why you'll see me make the odd twitch and stuff like that, because it back then it was insane though. When it first happened, it manifested itself as a child. I see, like that, I would shake body parts, severely though, shake my head, you just involuntarily shake your different body parts, and sometimes it's vocal. With me, thank goodness it wasn't too vocal. I did have a little bit of that, but if you just research it, you'll find out what it is, or maybe you know somebody that has had it. It's more severe in kids, and thankfully you do tend to grow out of it into adulthood, but it does carry into your adulthood. It's always going to be there. It's on the spectrum of a bunch of other things, but I'm not going to bore you there. Anyways, um, so that makes you a target, right? I had this great home life. Everything's hunky dory up to about 7 years old. And now I've got this big target on my back because I'm a weirdo. I was also short. I had red hair. I was starting to grow into that a little bit. So, you're just not as cute anymore. The kids are picking on you, making fun of you. So that's a big hit, right? That's a big hit we take to our esteem, because our loving, our family life tells us one thing. Yes, you're loved and you're great, you've got so much to offer. Doesn't matter when you get out in that real world. When they tell you things, you start to believe that, and we're always apt to believe the negative stuff, right? So my esteem took a big hit, and it affected the rest of my life. It was a turning point, right? So right into my teenage years, I it was pretty quirky. I was a tomboy. I loved animals, needed animals around me all the time, which was kind of good because a lot of kids would come around, and I actually was a little bit of an entrepreneur back then. I would have little baby bunnies and take them to the park and sell them. I actually back at that point, the Hudson Bay was buying pets, and I made a deal there. So I had this little entrepreneurial spirit going on when I was very young, and was wheeling and dealing with little baby bunnies and stuff like that. And we had everything. We had budgies, hamsters. My dad was an animal lover. My mom was very indulgent of us, and we had like a little farm in our backyard. Back then in the day, you could do that. We had all kinds of animals. My dad was very popular with the boys in the neighborhood, so they'd come and visit me, but really they were visiting my dad, and I was very, very shy because of my esteem anyways. So especially around boys, men. So that takes me into high school years. I developed an eating disorder. It was very popular to do so back then. Why not jump on that bandwagon? It's not how it came about, actually. I was on the bus one day, and there was some boys in the back of the bus, and I heard them say, "Oh, she's so fat," or something like that as I was getting off the bus. Well, to this day, I really don't know if they were talking about me. And you know what? They might not have been, but guess what? Of course, I'm going to believe that. So enter a whole new realm of uh, eating disorder. I became anorexic. I was 112 pounds at that point, probably a little bit heavy for a girl that's 4'11". 4'10" maybe, I don't know, but anyways, doesn't matter. But I still, by all means, I mean, I would pray for that weight right now. But back then, I'm just like, okay, now I'm fat. I'll add that to my list of how I feel about myself. And so went on to starving myself. I went from 100 I guess maybe 114 to 81 pounds. My little sister weighed 81 pounds at that time. She was 12, looked good to me. I was 17. It was underweight for me, but you know what? It's what worked. And then that's entered a whole new realm of how I saw food and how I still see food today, actually. I still have a love-hate relationship with food, but you know, it's the reason I bring it up is it's funny how something when you're very young can just carry right on into your adult years. You know stuff that happens to you when you're young, you deal with your whole life. So that puts me into my high school years. I graduate. I meet my first boyfriend. I'm not going to get too deep into that because for probably privacy reasons, for his sake, the people that know me, that know him, uh, it wasn't a good relationship. It was a very one-sided relationship. I was probably grateful to have a boyfriend because I did have such low self-esteem. Um, we were together for about 10 years. Friends and family begged me to end that relationship because they knew it was very one-sided. Um, I actually moved to Calgary to kind of get some independence at one point. He called me back home. I listened because that's what girls that age do, right? I was 28, but I was a very immature 28. So I came back home. Long story short, he ended up moving to Calgary, the city that I wanted to be in. That didn't fly with me, but whatever. He actually phoned me one day and had told me that he cheated on me. So he ultimately ended the relationship. I went into rejection mode, grief actually. I wish I could say I handled it well. I did not handle it well. I just saw it as rejection instead of for what it really was. And a godsend, really. That relationship ending was great for me because I got to enter a whole new realm of independence. Did I do it well? No, I did not. I moved to Calgary. That was good for me for independence. I mean, I had the secure, loving support system at home, and I moved away from that. I, I tend to do that when I'm grieving. I just kind of tend to want to be on my own. I isolate and I move forward. So I can see in my life how that has pushed me into certain areas. So I moved to Calgary, became a bit of a party girl. I actually also became the other woman for a little while in that relationship because there was a little bit of a back and forth there. And that again was my esteem. Just not being able to let go of that relationship, even though it was bad for me. So anybody that's listening out there that's in a relationship where you know it should end, especially the girls out there, please take a good look because life is short, and honestly, if you're the one that ends that relationship, it will bring you much power. And please do contact me if you are in that situation and you just want to chat. I'd be happy to help. Okay, so moving forward, yes, big time party girl. That's what I did. I was. I actually ended up being quite popular. I went out a lot. I made a lot of friends. I dated quite a bit. I did not want to get into a relationship. I got into this realm of, I really hate to admit this, but I'm going to be authentically honest with you guys. I met quite a few men back then. I dated a lot, but I never let them get close. And I think that was just my own way of protecting who I was and who I was becoming. I had plenty that wanted to date me, but it was always just so far and then see you later. I guess maybe taking some power back. Who knows why I did what I did. I probably lost out on quite a few really good relationships back then. But you know what? Everything happens for a reason, and it's all good. So then I did get into another relationship. A whole other story. I don't want to go too deep into my relationships because it's not fair to the people out there that I've dated. I can't air their dirty laundry or our dirty laundry on there because it takes two. It's never just one. Even with my first relationship, that was one-sided. That was on me. That's on me, not him. You teach people sometimes how to treat you. And my dad, that's a lesson from my dad. He would say to me, Char, you teach these guys how to treat you. And that's not an untruth. That was very good advice. So anyways, yeah, into my next relationship that, was okay, whatever, that has ended. The reason I bring that up is because that's where my little doggy comes, my little girl Lexus comes into my life. I finally got a dog. I had been wanting a dog since I moved to Calgary, and we had just bought a house, and so that presented itself to us. I was able to get a dog, and she's just became the love of my life. She's a great little girl, a Jack Russell Terrier. At that time, the show Frasier was on, so Jack Russells were popular, and the guy that I was with at the time, I was able to talk him into that. So we went and got her, and she actually happened to be. I'm fast forwarding on you here, but where the place I'm living in now, I wasn't living in then. I was living south. I'm in North Calgary now, but we had picked her up in the complex that I'm living in now. I didn't realize that until I made the move to this complex. That I found her registration papers, and I'm like, whoa, the place that I purchased her in is a place that we're living in. So, anyways, long story short, that relationship dissolved. Sold my house, came to where I am now, and I'm in a relationship with someone now, and that's all good and going well, and that's where I am now. But that's not kind of where I want to go. That's just part of where the story is going. I'm going to continue on with the dog, with my girl Lexi, because she's such a big part of my story now. I'm going to now talk a little bit too about my relationship with God. I have always known that God is there and with me and in my life. I don't know how, but I've just known. As a little girl, I would talk to him and it would feel like a back and forth conversation. As throughout my life, I've always known he's there, but I have not lived a very righteous life. Like I said, I was a big time party girl for a while. I still like to have the odd drink. Nobody is perfect, and that's okay because we have the grace and the mercy of God in our lives. And people that understand that are the ones that are able to get into a deep relationship with him and align with him. That's what he wants. He wants us to align with him. I'm not religious. I do not follow any religion. I do not even like being called religious. I find it offensive. I am spiritual. I am in spiritual alignment with God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit. That's how it works for me. Now, when I was kind of doing my thing, I would touch base with God every once in a while, all good. Slowly, though, I started getting pulled back into a deeper relationship, and that's kind of how he works. He'll keep knocking at your door. I would hear programs, I would hear little things, whatever, and I would get pulled in. So I, follow different teachings and stuff. Some very good spiritual teachers out there. Oh my gosh, I encourage you, if you're on the fence, please go look some of them up. There's some great ones. But anyways, about 3 years ago, my little girl got, she's 16. started declining in health. I was in denial. I did not want her to leave this world. I wasn't ready for that. She's my baby. She's my everything. People would bug me when Lexi leaves this world. We don't even want to be around. They weren't wrong. It was hard. And so one December she got sick, and I had to go home for Christmas. It was so hard to leave her. She was in good hands, though. She was with her daddy at that time. He came into her life 7 years ago and very much was her dad. Uh, so very good hands, and that was all good. I came back, and then New Year's Day she got sick again, and a whole bunch happened. Long story short, rushed her in and out of emergency, and then I got her to my vet on the Monday, and it turned out that her kidneys were not doing well. So in the hospital with her every day for 4 days, just praying, wanting her to be there. And at the end of that, it was, we kind of had her balanced a little bit, not in a great place, but so I went on with her for a little while, just trying to keep her here. But in amongst that week that she was sick, I had been laying with her one night and just talking to God again, praying, asking for grace and mercy, and just asking, for strength for her, health for her, just for her to feel better. And I felt this presence come over me. Um, just a knowing that, oh my gosh, he is here in this with us. I used to say she had a little light inside of her. Well, that light too, he was in that light. He is that light. He's the light in all of us. And it just kind of connected. It just really connected. And ever since then, my relationship with him was just deeper. I had all of a sudden a newfound strength and peace come over me. I did have a similar experience about 15 years before that with my mom, where it actually was a physical experience, but that's another story for another day. Just to make this a little bit shorter. This is long already. So, anyways, that was 3 years ago, and ever since then, my relationship has gotten deeper and deeper and deeper. She did finally pass, and it was definitely difficult. It was heartbreaking, but I very quickly. I felt his presence around me. I started receiving a lot of little messages and signs in very uh, rapid fire, I like to call them, in 3 days, just like bang, bang, bang. So much so that I could not deny his presence, and I could not deny that she was okay with my mom and dad, that everything was all good. It was just such an experience that is all in a book. So I do not have to go into a lot of detail there. When that's released, I will let you all know if and when you are interested. It is going to be a very healing book for a lot of you that have lost your babies, because that is a big hit for us. Um, there was a miracle that happened in amongst then that I didn't know about. I found out that we had to send her home on March 24th. On March 25th, unbeknownst to me, this little miracle gift was born that I didn't know about till 3 months later. A little boy um, came into our lives. His name's Titus, and beautiful little baby. I tried to walk away from him because in no way was I going to get another puppy, and it wasn't going to be a Jack Russell, but again, a whole bunch of messages and signs around that were undeniable. I could not walk away, even though I tried. He came into my life and our life and knew how to love us, how to heal us. This just most comical, sweetest little precious boy that you could ever imagine. I love that little boy. Sorry, was so very much. He was a gift. He was a gift that came in knowing how to love us, me especially, and he healed my heart, and just meant to be. I'm tearing up because I wish I could end this story there. We tragically lost him about a year and 8 months into his life. He'd only been with us for a year and a half. I'm not going to go into that. I will go into that another day. It's a story for another time. But we did lose him, and it was a big hit, a very, very big hit. It was the end of 2019, about a week before my birthday, 2 weeks before Christmas. That is a very important time of the year for me. I get to be with family, you know, birthday, Christmas, all that, a whole bunch. And I was crushed. And I had to really, it shook my faith. It shook everything. I wondered if I would be able to get back into his light again. And of course, here I am today. So of course I did. That's a story in the making too. Um, but I've come a long way. I've come a long way with him in my own life, in my relationships. Um, am I perfect now? Yeah. No, I am not perfect at all. I've learned though a lot. I've taken a lot of hits. I get up. I get up and I get up again, and I will always get up. I'm resilient. I know how to get up. I know how to reset my life. And I'm the queen of resetting my life. I've done many things in my life. I skipped a lot of things. I've done many jobs. I've done a lot of direct sales and network marketing because I wanted the freedom of being able to live that life, right? To just be able to not have to answer anybody. But at the end of the day, even with those companies, you do have to answer to people. So, you know, that's why I'm doing my own thing now, and I love it. I get to I get to help people heal. I get to help people uh, move forward in their lives. I get to see them succeed in whatever area that they want to succeed in. It's all up to them. And I just get to be the guide to help them along. And what better thing could I be doing with my life right now? So I'm happy to serve you all. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to add content to this channel. I hope there's going to be some exciting stories coming your way. I'm going to be interviewing. You're not going to be just listening to me all the time. You're going to be hearing other people, um, real life stories, real life relationship challenges that come our way. And yeah, so that's it for now. That's part of my story. Kind of long story short. I tried to keep it short, but hey, you can't compress 50 some years into a 10-minute video, right? So it's probably a little bit more than that. Hope you made it all the way through. And if you did, thanks for staying and thanks for listening. And I will see you next time. Bye for now.